Mhm. Alright, here we are. For once, my Twitch loaded super fast. There we go. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, Yuzu was going to prove that Neri is innocent. Right, right. Let's see then. Sleep immediately pulls me down into its depths, as though it was just waiting for Suoken to leave. I barely slept in the days following the meeting in Iznik. Sleep now takes me like I've slipped from a cliff and am falling endlessly into the deep ravine below. Ooh, yeah. Hey, Bam. Hey, Yuri, how's it going? My heavy lids fall closed, and when they open again, it's to gentle sunlight and a mind that's as perfectly clear as the day's cloudless sky. First things first, I ask myself what it is I need to do. Prove Nerine Komikado's innocence. I now see the truth, a truth previously obscured by fog. And also my true feelings, free from lies, revealed to me after the encouragement of my friends. Should I urge Neri to take back her previous confession and admit that she's not actually the culprit? Oh, hey, yeah. Hi. I don't know if that does much. Like, if you're gonna take back the confession, I think you would need some additional something to ground that, right? And make it have more weight than the initial confession, right? Because then why would people think you lied then and you're telling the truth now? You might as well have told the truth then and lie now, right? No, that won't work. I'm well aware that she's the kind of person who refuses to budge an inch once she's made up her mind about something. That too. Then should I turn in the real perpetrator? Oof. So let's think about the simplest solution. I need to prove in Iznik before all the members of the Council of Nicaea that Nerine Komikado didn't do it. Now that I've put it into words, that sounds pretty freaking hard. Revealing the truth while simultaneously maintaining a lie. Still, hard is not the same thing as impossible. Plus, a great detective. I already know who I'm going to ask. I'm convinced that she can solve even the most vexing puzzles. I apologize to the sleuth I've singled out for the task. Of course, it's Suo. Today, the sweet, willowy Suo-kun responds brightly, a far cry from the ghastly apparition I encountered the night before. I can't picture, like, ghastly does not fit for Suo, okay? Maybe it just felt ghastly because it was late in the night and it was dark or whatever, but like, she's not ghastly. She's so sweet and bright. Instead of brushing it off, she looks me straight in the eye. She declares. Yeah. She's like a different person to the girl who arrived here in the spring. Aww. Oh, she's so cute. What? The way she looks up at me, cheeks flushed, throws me off balance.
やはり頼りになるのは我が師だからね。一緒に頑張りましょう。
Nodding exaggeratedly to cover the way her innocent smile has set my heart racing a mile a minute, I tell her that I'll fill her in on what happened at Isnik on the way.
そうだったのですか。自ら犯人だと名乗りを上げた。ああ、ネリーには以前鐘楼のルーガルー事件の捜査の進捗を話して聞かせたことがあったんだ。二階屋の会の皆さんを納得させられるほど細かく事件について語れた。まるで犯人にしかわからないことのように。そうだ。
I grimace at my own blunder. Suokan pokes me between my furrowed brows and laughingly tells me not to pull faces. Aww.
そうくん。大丈夫です。簡単な話ですよ。何を？つまり、コミカド先輩のアリバイを崩せばいいってことですよね。
With a charming smile, she goes on to add that everyone has a weakness.
リンゴさんが襲われたとされる11時半にコミカド先輩がどこにいたのかを突き止めましょう。不在の証明。
With a murmured first of all, Suokan holds up the index finger she's removed from my forehead.
コミカド先輩のアミティエの方に話を聞くとしましょう。
Good call. Do we get to see that Amitia partner? Mysterious. It makes logical sense to start with the girl who shares a room with Neri. It wasn't 11:30 in the morning that Ringo and I arranged to meet. It was in the dead of night when most people would be sleeping, and so her roommate should be able to help us. Soken uses her lunch break to go and speak with Neri's Amitia partner. Cursing myself for my pariah status, I'm impatiently waiting for her return when... Okay, we don't get to see that conversation.
お待たせしました。
Alright, it's fine. Spotting me loitering in a corner of the corridor, my teacher hurries over to me and hands me a paper bag.
これは？お昼取っていないと思って。軽食ですけど、どうぞ。
Oh, cute.
さすが和菓子は気が利くね。手軽に食べられるなら BLT。ブリトーです。
Oh.
手が汚れず、本を読みながら食べられるんでいいですよね。私大好きなんです。
Oops, I shouldn't have mentioned sandwiches. I pulled the burrito out of the bag. The freshly made tortilla wrap reminds me of a crepe, although it's not as soft and floppy.
食事の前に情報を。
Oh god. A burrito with a freshly made tortilla. Okay.
早く食べないと冷めてしまいますよ。そうだね。
Looks like she's not gonna spill the deeds, unless I eat. I chomp down hurriedly on the burrito, eager to hear her information as soon as possible. A generous coating of cheese encases the big sausage and salsa nestled within. Bea, turn away. Oh no. Cover your ears. One bite carries with it the satisfying texture and juicy flavor of the meat, mingled with the tang of the salsa sauce. It's delicious.
ブリトーはあまり食べ慣れていないが、こいつはいけるね。
Food.
トルティーヤのもちもちした食感がいいですよね。
At least they're not showing it.
私は
Sparing
ク
the
リスピーを
visuals.
挟んだものが好きなんですけど、なかったのでソーセージにしてもらいました。いや、実にうまい。サンドイッチからこっちにくら替えも考えてしまうよ。
During the days I spent lounging in my room, I didn't eat a single proper meal. Maybe because of that, I demolished the... demolish! What a word choice. I demolished the sausage burrito in no time at all, and am soon well into the potato, bacon, and cheese one. Oh god, there's more than one burrito. Before I know it, I've gotten through the seafood burrito too, with its plump steamed shrimp filling. 3 down! Oh my god. Each one had a slightly different sauce seasoned with black pepper and salt that just kept me munching.
オニオンスープも入っていますよ。
Oh my god, it doesn't end.
最高だ。
It's a classic onion soup with onion fried in butter until it's mushy, and a perfect blend of consomme and pepper. Hang in there. We can get past this. I'm sure they're gonna move over the food at some point. Finishing the warm, nourishing soup, I feel like I'm being comforted from the inside out by its pure, no frills flavor.
あまり空腹は感じていなかったが、随分と腹が減っていたらしい。ちゃんと食事は取らないとダメですよ。
I muse that if I don't, I'll earn myself a kick in the ass from Yaga-kikun, and she laughs airily.
スオ君は昼食をとったのかい？コミカド先輩のアミティエ、萩原さんとはお食事をしながらお話を聞いたのです。人間、うまい食事をとると口が軽くなるというものな。
When I prompt her to continue, her expression clouds over.
残念ながら鐘楼のルーガルーに襲われた時のアリバイを証明することはできませんでした。つまり11時半の時点でネリーは部屋で就寝してはいなかった。はい、11時になる少し前に部屋を出たそうです。眠れないから少し出てくると。
Honestly, I hadn't expected to hear that my rule-abiding friend was wandering the school alone after lights out.
当然、商用ですぐ戻ったという話ではないんだね。はい、萩原さんは目が覚めてしまって本を読んでいたそうなのですけど、11時半を過ぎても戻ってこなく、12時になる少し前にようやく戻ってきたと。リンゴが襲われた時間に部屋にいてくれれば。
If that were the case, we would have been able to disprove her statement with the testimony of her roommate alone. I was sure that her self-sacrificial decision to admit to the crime was a spontaneous one, and so I'd figured it would be easy enough to poke holes in. Looks like I was wrong. でも、そんな夜遅く、コミカド先輩はどこに行っていたのですかね。
ネリーに尋ねるわけにもいかないしな。アリバイを崩すつもりが犯人かもしれないという裏打ちをしてしまった。すみません。
Well, if I know anything from detective and crime solving shows is that just because someone can provide an alibi doesn't mean they but now it's the opposite, right? Just because you don't have an alibi doesn't mean that you didn't. Yeah.
いや、何もスオ君を責めているわけじゃない。僕の耳になってくれているんだ。感謝しているよ。
Well, she's no longer too timid even to speak with older students. Like she was back in spring, she's the same overly sensitive girl.
11時少し前に部屋を出たというなら、目撃者を見つけたいところだが。襲った時刻のちょうどでなくとも、少し前、もしくは後にコミカド先輩を寄宿舎で見かけたという情報があれば、アリバイを崩せますね。
Yeah, but that's kind of hard, right? Especially if you're not supposed to be out at that time.
ああ、僕は寮長やスタッフに話を聞いてみる。スオ君は夜更かしをしそうな生徒から聞き込みを頼むよ。
She nods, then promptly sets off toward the dining hall. After watching her go, I myself hurry to Mother Katabami's room. The lunch break isn't long enough for us to talk to everyone we need to, so we end up dedicating our free time after classes to it too.
すまない。待たせてしまったようだね。いえ、私も今来たところですから。
Our small talk before we discuss our progress reminds me of my trysts with Ringo. That word again.
スタッフに話を聞いてみたが空振りだった。見回りをしている片上寮長には期待していたが。そうですか。私も立花さんやいちごさんのつてで上級生の方たちにも話を聞きましたが、や やはん、コミカド先輩を見かけた人はいないそうです。うまくいかないものだな。犯人でない証拠を見つけるのがこんなに大変だとは思わなかった。
My shoulders slump at the realization that it would be easier simply to give up on the real culprit.
コミカド先輩の名誉を取り戻すため、真犯人の名を挙げることはできないのですよね。
Silken asks me earnestly. I force a wry smile to my face.
そいつは無理な注文だ。それができるのなら初めからやっている。ですよね。
Like Neri, Silken must also have figured out who the real werewolf is, which is exactly why she's helping me.
動機で崩すことはできない。使った凶器などもない。確か聖堂前の通路の土には足跡がなかったのですよね。ああ。
I can tell that her brain is wiring, cycling through deductions and refutations inside that little head of hers.
やはり不在の証明を。コミカド先輩が日記をつけてくれているなら話は早いのですけど。
The thing is, we're also working on the assumption that all of this happened at the chapel. But we don't also really have proof that Ringo was attacked there. Because there were no footprints to indicate that she went there either. So... yeah.
それだ。え？どうして今の今まで気づかなかったのだろう。ネリーは子供の頃からずっと日記をつけているんだ。
We gotta go snooping in the diary? I tell her that she never misses a day. Silken clasps her hands together delightedly at this hope of finding proof that Nettie wasn't at the scene of the crime. Oh, yeah, but at what cost?
それじゃあ日記を無理やりに奪うというのはなしだ。リズニックでみんなの前でネリーが犯人でないと知らしめるためには有無を言わさぬ証拠と迅速さが必要だ。電撃戦のように反証させるいとまを与えてはいけない。
She nods. If Nettie realizes we have her diary, that will give her the opportunity to at least come up with a plausible story to the contrary. Like in a card game, it will be paramount that we keep our hand hidden.
部屋に忍び込むにしてもネリーは自室で謹慎中。顔を合わせずに部屋に忍び込むことはできない。食事中はどうでしょうか。朝とお昼はコミカド先輩へ同室の萩原さんが自室へ食事を持って行っているようでしたけど、夕食はダイニングルームで共にお祈りをしてからとっています。
I didn't know this since I haven't been attending mealtimes myself recently. The reason for her suspension still isn't public knowledge, so I can only imagine the stares of curiosity she's been getting. The thought makes my blood boil.
確かに話通りなら夕食時に部屋は無人になる。だがダイニングルームに向かう際、部屋を出るときに鍵をかけるだろうしね。鍵。
She murmurs the words, a smile playing across her lips that's at odds with her furrowed brow. The strange shift in her expression has me asking her what the deal is.
鍵がかかっていてもどうにかなる算段。算段？もしかしてスオ君が女スパイみたいに鍵を開けられるとでも言うのかい？
Her expression remains inscrutable in the face of my joke.
なんとかできる人に心当たりがあります。
She says. A squeaking like the cry of a bat draws nearer.
こういう面白い話は早く相談してもらいたかったですね。
The girl Silken had had in mind bears her sharp canines at me in a cat-like smile. Atop her lap are a bunch of tools, quite inappropriate for a young lady to have.
鍵開けができるというのは本当だったのだな。インドア派女のネクラな趣味の一つですよ。一時ハマっていましてね。おい千鳥、ちゃんと他の生徒が来ないか見張っていろよ。 わかっているわ。
She squints down the corridor, her expression deadly serious. When I'd come crawling back to Yaegaki-kun for help, Takasaki-kun hadn't seemed best pleased. Perhaps my attitude from before still stung. Still.
こういう時に頼みを無下にできる私をお前は好きか？ずるいわ。
Aw. Let's not forget the cute little exchange they had. Thankfully, there seemed to be no grudges held between us. However,
お前までついてこなくてよかったんだぞ。スオさんがやるって言うのだもの。アミティエの私が協力しないわけないでしょ。
okay, the party has grown bigger, I see. I hadn't expected the straight-laced Rikaken to jump on board too.
ま、以前八代先輩の部屋に無断で侵入した仲間だもんな。そのことは初耳なんだが、八代先輩が頭を怪我されて真由里が疑われたことがありましたよね。すみません。へえ、花火師さんもやるわね。
Little Miss Class President doesn't know how to react to Takasaki-kun's compliment. Hearing the reason why they searched my room, I tell them I have no bones to pick.
ほら、八代先輩は心が広い。気に病むことはないんだ。おだてても何も出ないよ。それで、まだ会場には時間がかかりそうかい？もう済みました。
Shocked by how little time it has taken her, I look between Yaegaki-kun and the door in disbelief.
雑貨屋の金庫みたいな単純な作りです。そんなに時間はかかりませんよ。
Okay.
今度、2階屋の階で部屋の鍵をもっと性能のいいものに新調するよう進言した。
Ay, ay, ay.
手早く済ますぞ。戻ってくるまで10分を目安にする。わかったわ。
This gang seems way too familiar with these sorts of escapades. I take the lead and head for Neri's desk.
教科書類とノートか。
ここが一番手間がかかりそうだ。私も手伝いますよ。
Yaegaki-kun and I pull open drawers, maybe? Open drawers? Okay. And rifle through papers, taking care to remember the order we found the textbooks and notes in. If we tip her off by leaving something out of place, all of this will have been for nothing.
コミカド先輩はきちんとした日記帳に書いているイメージだ。
僕が子供の頃交換日記をした時はそうだったが、
Aye.
ノートの中まで見るのかい？
This gives me so much secondhand stress.
ノートを日記代わりにする知り合いがいますもんでね。
She says, flipping through one of them. Perhaps Neri's changed things up since we were kids. I also start looking at every piece of paper more scrupulously. However,
日記どこにも見当たらないわ。八代先輩の方はどうです？
机の中はすべて調べたが、日記らしいものはないね。
I do know someone, says Erika. Yeah, she probably refers to Chidori. She does. Chidori and her notebook. The only place we haven't looked is Hagiwara-kun's desk, on which our gazes all now converge.
アミティエの机に日記を隠す理由もないだろうしな。
日記を書いていたというのは子供の頃の話でしょ？もう書いていないってことはないかしら。その可能性もあるっちゃあるが。
Yaegaki-kun scratches her head, then moves her wheelchair over to where Rika-kun is idly playing with her braids.
なあ委員長。委員長は恥ずかしいお宝本を隠すとき、そんなものないわよ。視線の先はベッドだ。千鳥、ベッドの下を探ってくれ。ちょっと
Despite Rika-kun's protests, Takasaki-kun expressionlessly follows Yaegaki-kun's orders, peeling back Neri's mattress to check beneath it.
どこにもないわね。アミティエの方のベッドも探してみてくれ。
Erika's secret Yuri stash, oh god. She does the same with Hagiwara-kun's bed, but
こちらにも見当たらないわ。ねえ、同室のアミティの方の机も調べた方がいいんじゃない？
どういう理由で自分の日記をアミティアの机に隠すんだよ。口を開く前に頭を使え。
それじゃあ、エリカはもっと足を使って探しなさい。
Wow, Chidori. Erika-kun regards them nervously, but Yaigaki-kun just smiles.
いつも気に障ることを言ってくれてありがとう。
She quips back.
いいアミティエでしょ。
羨ましいよ。
ねえ、エリカさん。エリカさんなら本を隠すとなったら
名前呼びになっている。来やすいぞ。ま、そうだな。私なら。
Since when is Erika so bothered by Suo-kun calling her by her name? What? Weren't they like close and stuff? Like she really likes Suo. Why is she reacting like this? What's happening? She hesitantly looks toward the bookcase.
私も同じ。木の葉を隠すなら森の中ってことわざ。
本棚は私がちゃんと調べたわ。
リッカさんが見逃したとは思っていないわ。ただ整頓するだけなら本棚に日記を普通に置くでしょうけど。
Maybe it's like has a special cover or something. Suo-kun cuts across the room to stand before the bookshelf, then without a moment's hesitation picks out a Bible in a fancy slipcase. Since summer, at least. I don't know, I feel like I to be honest, I don't remember how Suo-kun was addressing Erika. But how is she that bothered by it? Like, what?
そうか、しまった。ブラウン神父の同心か。
She slaps a hand to her forehead. Her Amitia partner quickly pipes up, asking her what she's talking about.
ギルバート・ケイス・チェスタトンの推理小説だよ。主人公のブラウン神父が探偵役だ。折れた剣の中で名言「木の葉を隠すなら森の中」の原型が登場する。つまり
Suo-kun pulls the slipcover from the Bible and out comes not a Bible but a leather-bound book with the word diary stamped on the cover.
ダイアリーって書いてある。すごいわ。
ネリーもブラウン神父にちなんで日記を聖書の中に隠していたというわけか。
I remember how right after she'd recovered from her illness, Nettie had withdrawn into herself and become a major bookworm for a while.
怪奇小説だけじゃなく推理小説も好んで読んでいたものな。
よし、一つコミカド先輩の秘密の花園を拝んでみるとしよう。
いけないわ。八代先輩が確認してください。
She passes the book to me and I'm suddenly incredibly nervous. Quailing at the idea of committing this transgression, I remind myself that it's for Nettie's sake and open the diary. It's in code or it has nothing at that date. Okay.
そうなんですか？
What is it? Nodding, I trail my eyes over Nettie's faint, delicate script. Contrary to my expectations, the diary contains only basic information: the date, the weather, what she had to eat that day, simple notes on anything she found particularly interesting. Acting like I'm looking for the day of the werewolf of the bell tower incident. I actually find myself searching for the day she walked in on me and Ringo, as if you have the time for that. I'm desperate to know what she wrote about that. My heart is thumping and I can feel my cheeks growing hot. Making my way through the dates, I approach that day.
どうしたんです？本に呪いの文言でも書かれていたんですか？
Curses. She definitely would feel bothered. She likes her after all. She has Chidori, it's fine.
何？冗談を言っているのよ。ブックカース。ブックカース。本の呪いよ。中世の頃、書物の盗難を避けるために奥付けに呪いの言葉を記載していたことがあったの。書物は当時
とても高価だったから。
呪いの言葉、本当にそんなものがあったのね。
Yeah, I like that that's the assumption they're jumping to. Oh, it's probably a curse. Rikakin regards the book in my hands fearfully. She really can't handle anything remotely spooky.
確かに呪いじみていたな。
That said, there isn't a single bad word written against me. However,
文字が震えていた。
なんです？
いや、手早く済ませてしまおう。
she must have been shocked by the sight of us about to kiss. Her wavering handwriting eloquently conveys her inner turmoil far better than the actual words. The sight of it makes me feel like a hand is reaching into my chest to take hold of my heart and squeeze. Like a genuine curse, in fact.
この日付だ。
Stopping at the date of the werewolf of the bell tower incident, I scanned through the sentences written there. Date, weather, breakfast, lunch, and between these facts, conversations she had with her friends from the council.
なんとかい。
深夜外出した旨はこう書かれていた。夜寝苦しくなり、目を覚まし部屋を出た。雲間に覗く星をしばし眺め、それでも眠気が訪れず目が覚めてしまった私は、姿見で私自身の姿を長い間見つめていた。
Gazed at my reflection. Okay. My voice echoes around the room as though having originated from somewhere else. The reverberations die out, replaced by a silence that brings with it the chill of winter.
その文言だけではアリバイの証明になりませんね。
そう？リンゴさんを襲ったと書かれていなかったじゃない。
犯行は確かに記されてなかったが、反面深夜外出したことは文言から確かとなった。
時間や星を眺めていた時に誰かとすれ違ったり会って話したという記述があればよかったのだけど。
空振りか。
残念だったのはわかるけど、そろそろ部屋を出た方がいいと思うの。
まだ平気だろう。おどおどしなくても大丈夫だ。
おどおどだってするわよ。片上寮長の深夜の見回りを思い出すわ。
ああ、確か佐々木姉妹と深夜のお茶会していた時に踏み込まれたことがあったって。
今、なんと言った？
Wait, what? Let me read that again. This reminds me of Dorm Mother Katabami and her nighttime patrols. Yeah, there was that time when she interrupted our midnight tea party with the Sasakis. Okay.
は？
リッカ君に聞いているんだ。何をおどおどしているのだって？
深夜のお茶会はもうしばらくやっていなくて。
そこじゃない。おどおどの後だよ。
What did she say again, huh? I am worried. This reminds me of Dorm Mother Katabami and her nighttime patrols, okay? What about it? We know that she patrols, right? Okay, so?
片上寮長の深夜の見回りを思い出す？
A sudden flash of inspiration. That's right. Dorm Mother Katabami patrols the dorms at set times every night.
さすがはスオ君のアミティエだ。優秀な助手だね。
Didn't they already talk with her? That she didn't see anything? Or what the heck? What my friend wrote in her diary could prove to be her undoing.
ありがとう、リッカ君。君のおかげでネリーを救えそうだよ。
Okay. Although before I put my plan into action, I'll have to run the story by Dorm Mother Katabami. I bow my head deeply to the braided girl, blinking confusedly at me. We're all just as confused. I use my camera to take photos of Nerine Komikado's diary. Aye. And then, using my authority as president, I arranged for a meeting of the Council of Nicaea. The meeting will take place tonight, after we've purified ourselves in the baths and said our prayers. Like at the meeting where my best friend sacrificed herself, I've also summoned Sister Basket to attend. Everything has to be exactly the same as that night. Pausing in my tracks, I stare up at the school building, shrouded in darkness. There's a tangible difference between the chill of autumn and the cold of winter. The autumn coolness had seeped up gently through the soles of my feet, slowly freezing my insides, but winter adds a sting to it. The frigid air has an edge to it, too, like the sharpened blade of a fine sword. The frosty touch feels sharp as a razor against my skin.
だが、物を考えるには長情だ。
I prefer winter to summer. I don't deal well with heat, not when it gets all gross and humid. I like the cool clarity winter brings.
イズニクで推理を披露する前に考えをまとめておこう。
This is about proving my best friend's innocence. I can't take any chances. Now then. Oh god. Okay, I'm not gonna get any of this. I don't understand. I'm so confused. It took me a while to realize that the story now harkens back to the first mystery. Oh gosh. Okay. I'm not looking to reveal the real culprit behind the Werewolf of the Bell Tower incident. Okay. My instinct here is that the twins are both of them somehow involved. I don't know in which capacity. I don't know if they were switching places or if they just had an altercation and she's trying to protect both of them. I think that's why she doesn't want to do that. That is my theory here. I don't know about anything else. Anything else is just okay, I'm confused, but let's see. My goal is to prove Nerine Komikado's innocence. Okay. There are two pieces of evidence I found with Sokun and the others that I can point to in order to prove she wasn't at the scene. The first, Neri was in the dorms when Ringo was assailed. And I know that because... What's the basis for thinking she was in the dorms? She was looking out the window and seeing her reflection? Is that because I don't know, they haven't read anything else to say about it. Or maybe something related to the mud, right? If she had gone out, it was muddy, so she would have gotten her shoes dirty. But how does that compute? Okay, let's see. Dorm Mother Katabami saw her. She wrote in her diary that she was looking at her reflection. Her amitié partner told me. Well, she did write this. So if she was looking at her reflection, she was behind the window inside. Right? Yeah, that's the choice. It also says that I should save here. Okay, we save. And the second, alright, the proof that Neri didn't go to the chapel is... What proves that Nerine Komikado wasn't at the chapel? The lack of footprints, her amitié partner's testimony, the path was muddy from the rain. I guess the muddy, this is what I said. These are the two things that I could think. No, it's the lack of footprints, okay. That is also like something that has been like a thing from the beginning. There were only Yuzuriha's footprints. Always. So, lack of footprints. Path was muddy from the rain. Okay. I mean, this is also a bit of a... It's not clear exactly what these options entail because they're kind of related in my mind, but it seems the lack of footprints is the point. Okay. The sharp early winter cold helps my thoughts along, enabling me to put together the parts that will prove my best friend has falsely confessed. That's probably why it doesn't compute to me, because I'm here in my warm house. And I don't get it. The last time one used to try to convince others that there was no culprit, it was the second mystery. I don't remember the orders and which one was the second mystery, but okay. Was it the bunnies? But that... that wasn't Yuzu, that was Erika, right? Okay, whatever, it's fine. My memory is really bad. Forgive me. Sorry, I think I didn't read that. No, I did. Enabling me to put together parts that will prove my best friend has falsely confessed. Okay. With a last glance up at the school building, I make my way into the belly of the beast. I calmly survey the room. All eyes are on me. Suspicion is plain to see on the face of the council members, while Sister Basket is looking bewildered. My gaze crosses over them to land on Nerine Komikado's sorrowful countenance. From the way her gaze flits around the room, I can tell she's not planning anything like last time. Bowing deeply to them, I apologize for the sudden summons. Even without looking into their eyes, I can practically feel their unease on my skin.
今日集まってもらったのは他でもない。鐘楼のルーガル事件でのことだ。
The raccoon one is... Oh, you mean the first and second in Autumn. I just thought you meant overall. And I was like, I don't remember which one was the first and the second. Okay, I see what you mean. Raising my head, I'm faced with exactly the looks I expected to see. Troubled, suspicious, confused.
そのことはコミカドさんが。
コミカドネリネは犯人ではない。
My tone is as composed as ever as I make my declaration, but there's a weight to my words. Everyone feels it, and I can practically see the question marks forming above their heads.
犯人ではないって。
言葉通りの意味ですよ、バスキア教諭。コミカドネリネは佐々木リンゴを襲ってなんかいないってことです。
The room erupts. Nettie is staring at me, but there's a bitter tinge to her gaze.
ですが、コミカド副会長が自分がしたことだとおっしゃっていました。
そいつは自己犠牲だよ。実にキリスト教的精神だ。だが、度が過ぎると笑えなくなる。
私がしたことだわ。
そいつは違うな。そもそもネリーは聖堂になんて言ってなかった。
She looks bitterly repentant. I don't want to see that expression on her face.
どういうことです？
以前、ここで申し開きをした通り、聖堂には足跡すらなかった。襲われたリンゴや突き飛ばしたというネリーの足跡すらね。
That part had been forgotten last time, as Nettie's explosive confession and resonant motive had rendered all other details moot.
確かに、それはおかしいですね。それは突き飛ばした後、佐々木さんが立ち去るのを待って靴跡を消したのです。私の足跡から特定されてしまう気がして。
Yeah, sure.
どうやって？
Nettie looks daunted by my blunt questioning. There's a brief pause as she racks her brains for a rebuttal.
木の枝を使ったのです。
She says. She goes on to say how evidence of the struggle was only to be seen directly in front of the chapel, where the bare earth was sodden from the rain. She claims she walked backward from there, scouring the prints with a stick until she reached the lawn. If you consider the location of the muddy patch in front of the chapel and the distance from there to the lawn, it's certainly possible.
その後はすぐに寄宿舎へと戻りました。
Looks like everyone's bought her explanation for the lack of prints. I mean, it does make sense. Looking around at the audience, I can tell what they're thinking.
納得してもらえたかしら。
Can we get dread of the grave? Oh god.
ああ、なるほど。
That sounds,
確かに
that
その
sounds
通りにや
crazy.
れば足跡の謎は解ける。おそらく足跡がなかったのはネリーの説明した通りだろう。
だったら。
だが、君が話した真実は足跡を消した方法だけだ。ネリーはあるものをかばっている。
She inhales sharply. She thinks I'm going to reveal the name.
足跡を消した理由。
待って、ゆずりは。
己の足跡を消そうとしたんじゃない。野生動物の足跡を消そうとしていたんだ。
She'd been expecting me to reveal a girl's name, so now she stares at me blankly. We're back to the animals? What is happening?
ええ。以前にも餌付けした動物のことは話したでしょ。動物の足跡を消すついでに残った己の足跡も消したのです。
Why would she be protecting the animal? I am so confused. The room is in a state of confusion. After all, what I'm saying still doesn't exonerate Nettie for the crime. In fact, it now sounds like the impetus behind the incident was Nettie's being discovered feeding the animal. That this combined with her jealousy led her to perpetrate a crime. But I still have to explain the preceding stages to them.
犯人の動機は話しておかないとね。いえ、そういえばバスキア教諭のご趣味はガーデニングだそうですね。
Or was it a possum?
それが何か。
いいご趣味だ。僕の趣味はカメラでしてね。主に風景を撮っています。まあ、下手の横好きというやつですがね。
With this, I pick up the camera I brought along with me.
いい絵が撮れたんです。見てもらってもいいですか？
それは構いませんが。譲りゃ、もう。
悪いが、自室に踏み込ませてもらったよ。ネリー、君の部屋にだ。
Protecting that fur ball is now used as sacred mission. Oh gosh. I turn on the camera, cycling through to the photo I took in Nettie's room.
部屋へ。だって訪ねてこなかったじゃない。
僕に鍵開けの技術があることを知らなかっただろ？
そんな嘘を。
これは君の日記帳だろ？
I show her the screen. Her gasp confirms to everyone that it's true, and they turn their reproachful gazes back to me.
会長、それは。八代会長。友人とはいえ、家人の許しを得ず無断で入るのは正しくない行いですよ。
僕もそう思います。だが、こうするしかなかった。
The hamster lockpicker.
不道徳な行いをすることよ。
Oh, the visuals in my head. um,
親友の無実を証明する方法はこれしかない。日記帳を探った理由はお分かりでしょう。
Where are you going with this? Realizing that I'm implying it was in order to prove or disprove her alibi for the day of the incident, Sister Basket falls silent, and the other council members also swallow their words of criticism.
鐘楼のルーガルー事件の日、日記帳にはこう書かれていました。
Showing the photo to Sister Basket, I read it out loud to the rest of the council.
最後の結びでこうあります。夜、寝苦しくなり、目を覚まし部屋を出た。雲間に覗く星をしばし眺め。
Meaning the rain had stopped by that time? I guess, but I don't know if that's relevant.
それでも眠気が訪れず、目が覚めてしまった私は、姿見で私自身の姿を長い間見つめていた。
それで終わりですか？
Nodding, I ask Nettie if this is indeed her writing.
間違いないわ。でも、
なんだい？
この日記が何だっていうの？確かに聖堂でのことは書いていないけれど、それは突き飛ばしていない証拠にはならないわ。
今、確かに日記帳の通りの行動をしていたとの発言を聞きましたね。
Rather than speaking directly to my friend, I address Sister Basket and the council.
はい。ネリーは今、リンゴが襲われた11時半、聖堂にいなかったことを証明した。
何を言っているの？
この日記帳には、夜半に部屋を出たことが書かれている。
だから、星空を見て、みんなが本当に寝静まったかを確認してから向かったのよ。
姿見を眺めていたのは？
それは外に出る前に身だしなみを確認していたの。
I repeat the words head to toe again, my voice traveling through the frigid air to reach every corner of Iznik.
この姿見だが、ネリーはどこで己を見つめていたのだろう。姿見というが、寄宿舎で全身を映すほどの大きさの鏡はどこに置いてあるのか。君、知っているかな？
Alright, so it's actually a mirror. I thought it would just be a window.
私は存じ上げません。
壁掛け鏡ならお部屋やご不浄にもありますけど。
上半身を映す程度の鏡じゃ姿見とは言わない。
Having had this inconsistency pointed out to them, everyone's suspicious gazes once again converge on Neri.
それは
確かにある。ロビーだよ。
ロビーですか？八代会長、ロビーに鏡なんて置いてありません。
Ah, you mean the aquarium?
いいえ、あるんですよ。即席の鏡がね。
With that, I take a step toward the door.
窓をご覧ください。
Oh no, it's still a window. Okay, I'm so confused. They follow my pointing finger to the window, where everyone's faces are hazily reflected in the glass.
姿は映っていますけど、これじゃ
鏡とまでは言えない。だが、
I pass my camera around so they can see the video I took. It's as I demonstrated for Sokun when investigating the shapeshifter of the dorms. The video shows the aquarium lit from within, and then it shows what happens when the lights in the tank are turned off. Oh, so it is the aquarium. With the lights off, my face stands out in sharp relief against the inky black glass.
ロビーには水槽がある。縦長の水槽だ。電気を落としたら、こうして大きな姿見に変わる。
I'm gonna nitpick.
ネリ、君の言った姿見とはこれだね。
In the art, it's not full length, is it? It's like sitting on something, right? Or am I remembering it wrong? I don't remember it being full length. But anyway, okay, it's the aquarium.
確かにそうだけれど。
My audience must think that I'm trying to drive her into a corner with all these questions about mirrors and reflections. However, that's not my intention. My leading questions were all designed to get her to say what she just now admitted to.
バスキア教諭、魚も眠ることはご存知ですか？
ええ、以前片上寮長から耳にしたことがあります。
なら話は早い。熱帯魚にも睡眠は必要だ。この睡眠だが、太陽が落ちたら電灯を消すというものでなく、決まった時間に消すことが必要なんだ。生活サイクルをきっちり合わせることがね。
My audience is still passing the camera around and watching the video as I continue.
だから、就寝の時間は魚の都合でなく、人間の都合に合わせることができる。例えば、寄宿舎の見回りのついでに消灯させるとかね。
My friend's a smart one, and it looks like some of my other sharp-minded classmates have also cottoned on. The rest are looking between us in confusion. Okay, so then I suppose the time that the lights are turned off in the aquarium is convincing enough. It's like it's later than the time that Ringo was assaulted, so if Neri was still there by that time, that means she couldn't have gone out to do it or something like that. Best part is that this wasn't even a part of the solution of the first mystery. It was stated as just as people suddenly seeing reflection in the aquarium's glass at night while they don't expect it's a possible origin of the shapeshifter mystery. Okay. I mean, it wasn't anywhere near the aquarium, right? Because the shapeshifter was happening in the sewing room. So it couldn't have been a part of it.
熱帯魚の世話は片上寮長の領分だ。そして二階屋の会の面々は知っての通り、見回りは11時半から行われる。
え、あ、それじゃ。
そうです。片上寮長の部屋の位置からロビーはすぐだ。ほぼ11時半に水槽のライトは切られる。
Okay. Forcing my tone and expression to remain mercilessly unemotional, I keep going. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's just that they were so focused on solving the issue that was happening specifically in that room. So I'm thinking that's why it never came up to be a part of it, right? I always assumed there was like some sort of reflective surface, like a window, but not any window in terms of like maybe there are particular windows because of like the moonlight or whatever that you eventually manage to see a reflection of that sort. We couldn't have known because it never gave us details of like a full body, you know, thing, reflective surface, right? And even, am I crazy? The aquarium in the art is not shown as being like a full length thing, as far as I remember. So yeah, it's yeah. But I see what you're saying, what the connection would have been, and that makes a lot of sense. So, forcing my tone expression to remain mercilessly unemotional, I keep going.
11時半にリンゴは襲われた。だから君が水槽を姿見として使うのは不可能なんだよ。
Silence descends on Isnik. My best friend is chewing on her lip, her brow furrowed, clearly trying to come up with some sort of rebuttal.
そう、聖堂に行って戻ってきてからロビーの水槽を見たの。
You are just contradicting yourself now because you just said you looked before you left.
同室のアミティエ、萩原くんからも話を聞いている。12時になる少し前に君が部屋に戻ってきたとね。聖堂で彼女を襲い、負傷したリンゴが足を引きずり姿が見えなくなるまで身を潜め、足跡を消してから寄宿舎の自分の部屋に戻る？不可能だ。
Without giving her time to refute me, I addressed the
コ
crowd.
ミカドネリネはあるものをかばっているのです。
譲り
そう、片喰玉木寮長をね。
Wait, what? The biggest commotion yet ripples through the room. Glancing at Nettie out of the corner of my eye, I see her staring back at me with an expression of disbelief. Are we going back to the animal theory that she was still feeding them?
先ほど足跡を消そうとしたことの有無を話した。野生動物の足跡を消そうとしていた。
I launch into the story of what really happened back when rumors of the Wendigo were swirling around. I tell them how a group of students had cared for an injured raccoon, that dorm mother Katabami had taken over, how the rules meant she'd had to release it back into the forest not fully healed, and how out of kindness she had kept returning to the forest to feed the creature as it recovered.
八代さん。
The look Sister Basket's giving me is painful. After all, I promised to keep this to myself, but I need someone to take the fall. Having that someone be dorm mother Katabami will lead to the least possible fallout. It will seem in character for her, plus I've already run it by her and received her understanding.
そんな。それでは片喰寮長が佐々木さんを襲ったということですか？
Oh gosh.
それは違う。襲ったのはタヌキだよ。リンゴは片喰寮長が聖堂近くで餌を与えていることを知っていた。そして折悪く待ち合わせていた時にタヌキに飛びつかれ、驚き足を痛めてしまった。
突き飛ばされたのでは？
もともとリンゴは突き飛ばされた云々は言っていない。ケムクジャラの獣を見て慌てた際に負傷したと言っていた。
それじゃあタヌキをルーガルーだと勘違いして。
I forge onward, telling them that this is just my own
養
conjecture.
護教諭に怪我をした理由を尋ねられ、片喰寮長が餌付けをしていたことを知っていたため。
Oh, that's such a great image, Bea. Thank you. I love that. I love that. Perfect mental picture. 全然ダメだ. Love it.
タヌキだと言えず、とっさに怪異の名を挙げたのだと思う。
彼女も自己犠牲から。
The secretary murmurs, but I shake my head and tell her there's more to the story. Things don't add up if everyone was acting out of good intentions. A pinch of malice ups the believability. Oh no.
なんです？
Oh no.
彼女自身、襲われたことを己を守ることに使おうと考えたのだと思う。化け物に襲われたとなれば、自分の置かれた立場が回復すると考えたのではないかな。
そんな。
事実、怪我をしたと聞き 距離を置く生徒は絶え、旧友は心配からお見舞いに来るようになったそうだよ。
Everyone, including the upstanding council secretary, falls silent at my words. They can hardly blame Ringo for telling such a lie. Oh god. Sorry. I'm not doing so great with reading tonight. After all, even if it wasn't intentional, it was they who blamed her in the first place when they thought I'd rejected Neri for her. As supposed exemplars of the student body, by showing that they were content with placing blame, our council created an atmosphere where it was okay to shun her. Ah, I see what she's doing. They are discerning enough to understand that it's their fault she felt driven to lie. Oh my gosh.
ネリーは私に事件の進捗を聞いていた。そして真実を悟り、自分が泥をかぶることを選択した。
I go on to say she was afraid that if Ringo's lie were discovered, she would yet again be treated coldly. Yuzu now tries to pull Erika's move during the bunny mystery again, but now with Neri actually realizing that if she wants to conceal the real thing, she'd better follow Yuzu's line of thinking this time. Yeah, it's similar indeed.
これが鐘楼のルーガルー事件の真相だ。
When I finish telling them everything, silence reigns over Iznik. The only sound is the occasional rattle of the icy wind shaking the windows.
話は受けたまわりました。八代会長のお話に間違いはないのですね。
Neri remains silent. If she answered, she'd be forced to lie.
沈黙をもって是とします。しかし、そうですか。玉木寮長が佐々木さんも片上寮長も小見門副会長もそれぞれ善意から相手をかばい嘘をつくことになってしまったのですね。
It's like the missing dollar riddle, she murmurs. An old puzzle centered on an informal fallacy, in which good intentions lead to an apparent overall loss. Guess my old-fashioned tastes are rubbing off. I don't know what it
バ
is.
スキア教諭、ネリーへの謹慎は解いてくれますか？
譲りは当然です。彼女は何の罪も犯してはいないのですから。
Well, other than lying, but we can't let that slide. Sister Basket turns her kindly gaze toward the crowd, and they all nod decisively.
鐘楼のルーガルーの件はどうするおつもりですか？
この件に関わっていた者はそれぞれに互いをかばい合うことで嘘をついていました。私には裁くことはできません。
However, I will have to have strict words with Dorm Mother Katabami about not feeding the wild animals, she mutters.
それについては僕の方からやめていただくよう話をつけておきました。
そうですか。では今度の一件は佐々木凛吾さんが聖堂にて野生動物に驚き、それをルーガルーだと見誤った。
Every council member voices their agreement. This is a group of girls with integrity. Even if it wasn't really their fault, they must feel guilty about the part they played in it all. With an agreement reached, they all stand and bow their gratitude to me.
譲りは私。
黙っていろ。
Nelly stares down at her toes guiltily. She looks so frail and impermanent right now, like a butterfly with wings so exquisitely gossamer fine they could be a mere trick of the light. Like the scenery in a dream, objects that lose their vibrancy and dissolve into grey smoke the moment you reach out to touch them. Would have been even more interesting if Dahlia phrased it as she hadn't committed any sin. Oh, okay. Yeah.
子供の頃のようだ。
I remember how she was when she fell ill and withdrew into herself.
守るというのも僕のエゴなのかもしれないな。
I murmur to myself as I reach out to gently wrap an arm around her shoulders.
どうやらうまくいったみたいですね。
My guest pipes up as I'm preparing her coffee, seemingly unable to wait until we're both seated. I pass the steaming, fragrant cup to Yaegaki-kun.
先輩の勝利だ。
僕は勝利を得たいんじゃない。負けたくないんだ。微妙な差だが、そこが違う。
眼蓄のある言葉だ。さすがは二階屋の会長。な、白羽。
Suo-kun nods her agreement as she savors her own cup of coffee.
鐘楼のルーガルーの正体を隠したままで矛を収めることができたのですね。
なかなかに危うい橋だったが渡り終えた。ネリーの謹慎も解かれることになったよ。
よかった。
I know she genuinely means it. She's such a wonderful underclassman.
これで千鳥や委員長にいい報告ができるってもんだ。自分たちも結果を聞きに来たいってうるさかったんですよ。
連れてきても僕は構わなかったんだけどね。
ことを済ました後に大勢で押しかけたら怪しまれるかもと思いましてね。私たちは代表ですよ。
I take a sip of my own coffee. As the bitter, astringent liquid spreads across my tongue, I feel the tension that was permeating my body being brought down a notch. It may not be my favorite beverage, but it's perfect for unwinding.
リラックス中の八代先輩には悪いんですが、一つ聞きたいことがある。
I don't think I will ever be able to wrap my head around how they are drinking coffee at night and then sleeping. I don't understand, but by this point I'm just I take it as it is.
何かな？
白羽は気づいているようで尺だが、ルーガルーの犯人は一体誰だったのですか？
I hesitate. Ooh, mystery music again. Looking obviously flustered, Sokun is about to jump in, but Yaegaki-kun cuts her off.
騙しのプロを騙そうとするな。別に聞いたところで言って回ったりはしない。
Yeah, she is definitely the pro at like making it look a certain way, but then knowing exactly what happened there. Drinking too much coffee actually makes me feel tired and sleepy. Okay. It's interesting. I know for a fact there are people who, if they drink coffee like after lunch or something, they will not be able to sleep that night. It affects them that deeply. So if they really want to have coffee, it needs to be really early in the morning. And after that, nothing. So, yeah. I've had instances where I slept very little and then had coffee later in the day. But then obviously I was still crashing at night because I had slept very little. It was just a temporary boost of something just to get me through whatever I was doing. And then it didn't influence my sleep. But I have not on a regular basis tried coffee late in the day. I don't know how it affects me, if it affects me in any way. But yeah, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird to me.
ただ、白羽が知っていて私が知らないのがムカつくだけだ。
Erika wants to be in the know. I can't help but chuckle at her frank words.
八代先輩。
いいんだ。八重垣くんは値千金の活躍をしてもらったしね。
Valuable services. As I speak, I'm already mentally running through how best to explain. First things first. The culprit I revealed in Iznik was my own fabrication. Similarly, there's a real culprit out there who fabricated the werewolf story. They didn't assail Ringo, but they did make use of the 7 mysteries. I realized the truth when it occurred to me that the footprints in front of the chapel were a red herring. So how did the footprints lead me to work out the real culprit? Oh my god, so many tonight, like why? It's okay, just leave me alone. Okay. Now you probably didn't see that, it's more like one of those bots with views for selling. Ugh. And now it's even structured like the first and the last mysteries from the summer. Okay, I guess it is. I don't remember all of the details, so... What made me realize the footprints were a red herring? There was no need to raise the footprints in the first place. Both Ringo's right and left shoes were muddy. There was no animal being fed. I mean, this is true, the shoes were muddy. About the need to erase the footprints, I don't know. Definitely there was no animal being fed involved here, because that's not what it was about. They just, like, you know, made it and connected it to that one. It's the middle one, yeah, this one, okay. And I need to make a save, okay. Yeah, okay. The evidence leads me to believe that the person who made up the werewolf of the bell tower was none other than... Who made up the werewolf of the bell tower? Dorm Mother Katabami, Dahlia Basket. Why would they do that? Ichigo Sasaki. So I do believe there's something to do with the twins. So likely Ichigo, but then... what exactly is it and how did she... like... She is the one who is like into the mysteries, right? So she would reach into that, but I can't see further than that, like what exactly was happening. But definitely some twin stuff at play, so... yeah, that's the one. So Ichigo. Ichigo made up the werewolf of the bell tower. Okay. After putting together the pieces, I savored the taste of the coffee on my tongue.
一度ネリーへと事件のあらましを話しながら整理していった時、妙に引っかかる箇所があった。聖堂前の足跡だよ。
The dorm mother really wants to protect her beloved raccoon. I can't blame her. That, like, what she did for the animal, it was in a way a motherly instinct, I guess, to protect the creature. And it made sense while the creature wasn't fully recovered, but you know, at some point enough is enough, right? And I'm sure she understood that too, because yeah, she really did stop doing that, but poor her, she's taking the fall for it all over again.
それって犯人が消したって話でしたよね。
ああ、はじめはリンゴを襲った後、自分の足跡という証拠を残したくないために消したのだと思った。
足跡を消す必要はないということですね。
ん？ああ、そういうことか。
I wanna see too. Please explain.
そうだ。学院生徒はみんな学院指定の靴を履いている。よほど足のサイズが大きいだとか、歩き方が特徴的でないのなら消す必要なんてないんだよ。
なるほど。いや、でもタヌキの足跡はそれがバレたくなくて。
I tell her that there was never any raccoon in the woods by the chapel. Yagakun frowns then.
片場寮長は随分と割を食った形。
Yeah, she has, hasn't she? Realization of my ruse dawns on her, and a feline smile curves across her features.
ウェンディゴ事件の折に自分が噂の元になっていたことを黙っていたのが随分と心苦しかったらしい。
God bless Dorm Mother
優しい
Katabami.
人だからね。だから餌付けをしていたことにしてくださいとの頼みも喜んで引き受けてくれたよ。
悪党ですね。と
Scoundrel.
なるとタヌキはいなかった。佐々木妹が驚き怪我したっていうのは。
そう、真っ赤な嘘だよ。
She bares her feline fangs in a grin. Looks like she's figured it out too.
足跡を消す必要がないと分かった後、いくつかの祖語を拾うことができた。
Yeah.
リンゴはそもそも聖堂には行っていなかったんだ。
Yeah, this we figured out as much as well. I was saying this from the beginning.
聞かせていただいた靴箱にあったリンゴさんの靴からの着想ですね。
ご名答。事件当夜、僕はリンゴの靴を見た。左右どちらもべったりと泥がついていたよ。
My audience has already worked it out, but I still go on to remind them that Ringo had injured her right foot.
足を引きずって帰った。泥がつく部分は必然的に偏る。
Ah, so you're saying you would have like there would have been more mud on one foot than the other. Okay, fine.
なのに左右どちらの靴底にも均一に泥がべったりとついていた。
Okay.
アリバイ工作が裏目に出たってわけか。
おそらく事件の流れはこうだ。リンゴが足をくじいた。これは本当だ。養護教医が診察をして診断を下している。騒ぎになっていないところを見ると自室で。
I go on to suggest that since Ringo's bunk is on top, perhaps she slipped as she was coming down the ladder.
そこで佐々木姉が一計を案じたってわけだ。
ああ、距離を取られている妹を案じて怪我を逆手に取り周囲の同情を買うため、自作自演をすることにしたのさ。
待ち合わせよりも早く聖堂に行ったことにして、そこでルーガルーに襲われたことにした。
足跡がなかったのは当たり前だ。そもそも行ってすらないんだから。
待ち合わせの時間に来ないことに僕が心配して部屋に来ることも織り込み済みだったのだろう。
She showed me her injured right leg and told the tale of her attack.
あとは八代先輩が話してくれた流れってわけですか。妹のために事件の絵図を描いた。
鐘楼のルーガルーを作り出したのは佐々木一吾くんだよ。
Right. And then what? It was Ichigo who just went outside for a bit, get some mud onto Ringo's shoes and then put them back? And like, what? Now that the words have been spoken aloud, the air in the room grows heavy with tension.
佐々木さんたちを糾弾するのですか？
No.
君はどうしたい？
Her pretty face twists. It's a harsh question for her. Unlike me and Yaegaki-kun, she seeks the truth.
試すような真似をした。すまない。
いえ。
この件は僕たちだけの秘密にしようと思う。どうだろうか。
よろしいのですか
？3人も知っている秘密は秘密じゃないと思いますが、私も賛成です。真犯人を見つけたところで誰も得をしない。
That's such a Yaegaki way of putting it. I accept her conclusion with a cynical smile, and Sukun also nods decisively, her expression deadly serious.
リッカ君と高崎君にはイズニクでネリーの謹慎を解いた時の話を真実として語ってくれ。
Seeing them agree, I feel a weight lift from my shoulders. It's finally over.
冷めてしまったな。
The coffee I take a gulp of when I finish my speech is lukewarm. It feels like a mocking reminder of my own half-assedness. I covered up the truth and threw together a stopgap solution. I still have feelings for Nerine Komikado even while dating Ringo Sasaki. Erika Yaegaki's encouragement and Soshirahane's scolding forced me to acknowledge my buried emotions all over again.
どうすればいいのかわからない。教えてください、カウさん。
Oh. Do we get the perspective change? Yeah, we do. Okay, I gotta hide myself. There we go. Never half-ass two things. Whole-ass one thing. Use it probably. Oh, that's funny. Okay, let's see. So, I am tormented by a feeling of powerlessness. It's similar to the lethargy that permeates your bones after a severe, long-lasting cold. My body refuses to do what I want, as though my flesh and blood have been replaced by straw. Pinned down on the bed by this feeling of helplessness, a pale haze clouds my vision. I say my best friend's name aloud. I hardly have a right to voice it. Not after getting jealous when she moved on to someone else after I rejected her feelings. Jealous that another girl had stolen her from me, I offered no vindication even when Sasaki-san was ostracized, even though I'd known she was suffering because of it. I'm not bothered at all. We should be happy for them. My black heart hadn't allowed me to utter those simple words, to let them off the hook. And so my inability to forgive had pushed her to incriminate herself. The werewolf of the bell tower incident. No doubt it was Ichigo-san's idea to make up a story in order to save her sister. Fool that I am, I became tormented with regret only after things had finally been set in motion. Because I hadn't wanted to forgive her, I forced the Sasakis to bear the sin of falsehood. The incident blew up, and then at the meeting of the Council of Nicaea, I watched as Yuzuriha addressed us, wondering if she intended to reveal their crime and judge them for it. Or whether, with the noble resolve of a martyr, she would conclude by taking on the guilt herself. However, I didn't confess to the crime myself, out of some noble idea of self-sacrifice. I wanted judgment from my own selfish jealousy. During my suspension, at first I felt like I'd been delivered. But as time stretched on, with only myself for company, I started to wonder if, when it became widely known that I was the one who attacked her, the Sasakis would suffer like me. The clever twins would surely realize that I was covering for them, and then they too would be tormented by the knowledge of their sin. I was plunged into anguish once again. But that was when I recall her words back in Iznik. It may have been mere sophistry, but it was ultimately a kind lie uttered to spare people pain. And I went along with it. With great effort, I roll onto my back. Looking up at the dim ceiling, I recall how, when we were young, I was the one who protected her. Oh, cute. Oh. Oh. Slowly closing my eyes, I retreat into childhood memories. The image in my mind is the complete opposite. It's me confined to my hospital bed in the throes of my disease. I was suffering from a potentially life-threatening illness, and the words I had received from Yuzuriha's mother had transformed me into a timid, cowardly little girl. Even in front of Yuzuriha, who came to visit me every day, I was ashamed of my wretched self, who had influenced her to depend on me. At the same time, I also harbored guilt over how much I enjoyed the fact that Yuzuriha still depended on me. Oh, cute. She'd clasped my hand encouragingly. In my newfound cowardice, I had continued to face her with a shadowed smile that only encouraged her protective instincts. Good actions and pleasant ways are what makes us lovely to our companions. I remember those words from Dorothy and the Wizard in Oz, coming to me in that hospital room. If that's the case, then I must really be quite ugly. After a narrow escape, I've had my suspension lifted. Why does Yuzuriha still love me? After my long spell in the hospital and all the time it gave me to contemplate who I was, I returned to school with none of my former vigor. A shell of my former self, I became the target of bullying. Yuzuriha swapped out her mask of timidity for one of extraversion. She protected me, just as I had once protected her. As though we had switched places. The sweet, timid Yuzuriha became strong in order to protect me, and seeing her shielding me today once again has set my heart aflame. Is this love? It feels like it. And yet, you don't really think of Yuzuriha as your friend, do you? Uh-oh. I don't care if it's a lie, but please, please, promise my Yuzuriha. Yeah. The desperate plea from her sick bed. Her mother's voice had scratched at my insides like something clawing its way out of a deep well. Clenching my fists, I repeat in a small voice as though trying to convince myself there is no salvation.
オズの魔法使いという童話がある。魔法使いのオズに頼まれ、横島な西の魔女を退治するために旅立つドロシーたち。艱難辛苦を乗り越え、西の魔女を退治し、オズに願いを叶えてもらおうとするも、彼がペテン師だと気づく。木こりへハートも、ライオンへ勇気も、かかしへ脳みそも与えてあげることはできなかった。当然ドロシーを故郷へ返すことも。気落ちするドロシーたちへオズは優しい嘘で彼らへ望むものを与える。かかしは脳でなく小麦の襖を詰め、木こりは絹でできたハートを、ライオンへは勇気の入った水を与えた。皆ドロシーたちとの冒険で物を考える頭を、いたわりの心を、立ち向かう勇気をすでに得ていたのだ。ただ彼のペテンではドロシーをカンザスへ返すことはできなかった。仲間たちはドロシーを返すために奔走する。そして南の魔女のグリンダならば可能性があると知った。喧嘩好きの木々に襲われ、繊細な時期たちの国を渡り、大雲が支配する森を抜け、ようやく南の魔女の住むお城へとたどり着いた。南の魔女から銀の靴を使い家に帰れると知り、木こりとかかしとライオンとの感動の別れの後、ドロシーは愛犬と共にカンザスへと戻る。私は物語の結末を見つめ、羨ましいと思った。帰りたいと願う故郷を持つ彼女を。幾度も引っ越しを繰り返した私には、ヨルベが戻るべき故郷がなかったからだ。いや、故郷は地でなくともよい。人であってもよい。だが、私は、これから始まる物語は、帰るべき故郷を探し求める少女のお話。クラブ関連の書類はこの棚に入っている。各式典類はこちらの引き出しだ。
Alright, give me a couple of minutes to quickly go to the toilet and I'll be right back. And then I'll turn the camera on as well, okay? There we go. There I am. I took this chance to also stand up because my back is complaining a bit. But yep, everything's. Do I fit in the frame? Yes, I do. Everything's fine. There we go. Alrighty, and I also missed a reply. Poor twins didn't expect that their little eye would ever produce such a wild side effect. Yeah, yeah, I guess that is in line with their personalities. It's okay, we love the twins. Okay, I'm glad it wasn't more than that. I was kind of worried that, like, for example, maybe the reason Ringo got injured was because they were fighting. Because Ichigo was upset that she was dating Nerine or something. So, I don't know, I wouldn't have wanted that to be it. That would have made me sad, but I did think it. But I didn't want to accuse them. So I'm glad it's not more than that, right? Just the lie about the mystery, whatever. I don't mind it that much. But anyway, I'm glad everything is on track now. Alright. So, what is Yuzu doing? Is she giving Suo like a tour of the place? She thanks me with a warm smile and bows her head to me. Averting my eyes from her dazzling smile, I instead look out the window. I murmur. We're halfway through December, and the temperature difference between inside and out means the window is clouded by condensation obscuring the view. Just like my heart. Ah, Yuzu. I pull a wry smile to myself.
大丈夫ですか? お疲れではありませんか?
Rikakan asks me, smile fading slightly.
何? 疲れてなんかいないさ。疲れているなら君たちだろう。リッカ君や。
I shoot a sideways glance toward where Suo-kun is earnestly listening to Neri's explanation.
スオ君の方が選挙演説で疲れただろうからね。
Oh, she had an election speech. Don't we get to hear it? I respond slyly.
私は半数の賛成票を得れば良いのですから、そこまでは。スオさんは大変だったようですけど。
見事、ニカイアの会の会長となった。
Staring at the foggy window, I think back on the Council of Nicaea elections and the preceding campaign rally a few days earlier. Ah, now we go into the past. Okay. Oh my god, Suo! Oh my god. Would you have imagined this in the beginning? I wouldn't have. Oh, she's come so far. Oh, precious. Standing there dignified and calm up on the stage, her mere presence was bound to set tongues wagging. But...
ニカイアの会、会長に立候補しました。白羽スオです。
The moment she introduced herself with a graceful bow, the murmurings immediately died out like a wave withdrawing from the shore. Her voice seemed to reach inside and draw out hidden childhood memories from deep within. Like she was whispering directly into everyone's ear.
私がニカイアの会の会長に立候補した理由は、春入学したての私を、現ニカイアの会会長、八代ゆずりはさんが導いてくれたことです。
She spoke of her gratitude and of how much help my support had been to her. Many other students who I helped in one way or another nodded along with her. Then laughter filled the hall as she followed up with a humorous anecdote about our first meeting.
八代会長が目指していた学院運営を引き継ぐ形で、ある程度のリファインを行いたいと考えています。その上で、3つの公約をお約束します。
She spoke of her vision to further invigorate club activities, her plan to bring new ideas to the events the council currently runs, and her intention to form volunteer committees for those two areas.
今述べた公約は、今までのニカイアの会の運営と、それほどの違いはありません。ですが、一つ一つ、先達の思いをつなげ、より良くしていきたいと考えています。
None of her ideas were revolutionary. Still, it's not a bad move to keep things as they are, considering how calm and content the school is, and the general lack of interest in shaking things up. However, in order to be elected president, she needed 2/3 of the vote. With her safety-first approach, I figured she would only make it to half. Suo Shirahane was resolute, though. She fell silent, gazing out at her audience in the chapel, looking each of them in the eye as though searching for a special someone. Oh, a special someone. Then,
私はとある理由から友人と言える者がいませんでした。ですからアミティエ制度のあるこの聖アングレカム学院へと入学することを決めたのです。はじめは不安でたまりませんでした。内気な私が友人を作れるのか、打ち解けられるのかと。ですが、八代会長、小見門副会長ともに気にかけてもらい、会の行事を共に過ごすことで、クラスの皆とも打ち解けることができました。
she smiled.
私を支え、受け入れてくれたアミティエのおかげです。アミティエの花火師立花さんは、慈しみを持って私を受け入れてくれました。そして今、副会長に立候補して支えてくれようとしている。もう一人のアミティエ、高坂真由里さんは、私はここにいてもいいのだと教えてくれました。
She lowered her head slightly, trying to keep her emotions in check, to fortify that inner dam. Those close to her watched with aching hearts.
私は、この聖アングレカム学院を皆にとっての故郷としたい。卒業しても良い思い出として、辛い時に思い出し、心温める、羽を休める場として、どうか皆の大切な故郷を守る席を私に与えてくれないでしょうか。
Her 3 minutes was up. Having finished her speech, she bowed low to her audience. Instantaneously, the chapel was swept up in a huge round of applause that echoed off the high walls. The first years who had watched with bated breath, the second years who had been watching to see if their school would be in safe hands, and the third years who were looking only for some assurance, all of them clapped incessantly.
新しい二階屋の会の会長が決まったな。
Hearing the same enthusiastic reaction I had once received, I'm convinced. Her speech was, in just about every sense.
私に対する宣戦布告だ。
What? What? How?
いや、演説会でのことを思い返していたのさ。なかなか堂に入った演説だった。
She must be delighted to have been mentioned as such an integral part of Suokun's campaign. Rika-kun beams at me, her eyes crinkling as though she's looking into a bright light.
君の演説も素晴らしかった。副会長になるのも難しいのによく成し遂げたね。
1年生はみんな入れてくれるだろうし、私はクラブの付き合いがありましたから。
Despite her humility, I know it can't have been easy and Okay, it's not me, it's the text. It can't have been an easy ride. It's not like Neri just waltzed into the position either.
立花君はバレエ発表会での演技がみんなの目を引きつけたのかもしれないね。何せこの学院はバレエは必須科目だ。
バレエで役職が決まるのでしたら高崎さんが会長ですよ。
If the council positions were decided via ballet, Takasaki couldn't be president. Oh, I can imagine that. Yuzuriha senpai, what's happening? Are you okay? You went completely silent for 3 minutes? What?
高崎くんが会長だとすると、必然的に副会長は八重垣くんか。独裁政権が目に見えるようだ。
Dictatorial gleam.
公約は食堂で昼だけのメニューの選択を夕食にも適用させるとかですかね。
Food.
そこは図書室での現代小説を増やすとかじゃないか？
We both giggle. I can just imagine Takasaki-kun marching down the hall while pushing Yagaki-kun's wheelchair, the other council members hurrying after her like a senior doctor on her hospital round. Hang on, it's a bit late now, but it occurs to me that Suokun's pledges didn't mention anything about the library. Oddly enough.
楽しそうですね。
Speaking of the devil, though it's not like we were gossiping exactly, the subject of our conversation makes her way over to us.
今、八重垣くんと高崎くんの公約について話していてね。
I inform her.
公約？エリカさんのですか？
冗談でのお話よ。
Haha, Chidoriya. Ah. When we tell her our ideas for their pledges, it must conjure a funny image for her too, as she covers her mouth with her hand and bites back a laugh.
そんな羨ましい公約なんて。
いや、私欲に走ったっておかしくはない。大義名分があればいいのさ。
大義名分ですか？
そうさ。スオー君の公約の中に図書に関することがなかったのが意外だって思っていたところだよ。
She looks at me blankly for a moment, then blinks.
思いつかなかったです。
She murmurs.
私事すぎてかい？君は誠実だね。
いえ、学院のために役立つことを考えていて。それで、その。
She trails off, her body suddenly tensing up. Is it that moment? Is it the moment of like, I did it and now tell me? Spill? Spill? Then she looks me dead in the eye, as though seeing straight through to my miserable base inner self. Yep. There it is. I don't know what you're talking about. Our promise to take a bath together? Oh no, oh no. Is this the option? This is the option. Ah, Yuzuri her humor. There we go. Oh god, I cave under the intensity of that look.
覚えているよ。
でしたら
一緒にお風呂に入る約束だろ。これから行こうじゃないか。
先輩。
Though she's still glaring at me, her cheeks are flushed and her gaze is no longer as sharp.
すまないね、スオ君。約束はもう少し待ってもらえないか。
As she looks up at me, I feel terribly small.
そいつは間違っていない。
I had promised to pass on the words to her. It's too late now, but I regret ever making that promise.
聡明なスオ君のことだ。あの文言から学院の謎に近づくことになるだろう。
Everything is shrouded in mystery here, jeans. However, getting closer to the mystery will mean getting closer to the earth than the heavens. And that means...
八代先輩。
なんだい？見つめ合ったことで嫉妬したのかな？
違います。そうじゃありません。庶務の方がお呼びしていますよ。
Well, I guess if her humor is back, that's probably a good sign. She points over in the direction of the general clerk and Nerine Komikado.
すまないね。少し外させてもらうよ。
I go over to where the two are talking. Taking the documents the clerk holds out to me, I ask her what's up.
お話中にすみません。ですが、そろそろ差し迫った案件を片付けないと。
案件？
しっかりしてくださいよ。12月まではまだ私たちが執行役員なんですからね。
I guess my mind had been so filled with thoughts of the words of succession, and all the hardships that will befall her even if it goes smoothly, that I forgot about everything else.
あ、そうだった。月末にはお楽しみの行事が残ってる。
Among the events the council runs, the Noel Christmas celebrations are some of the most important.
前年度のノエルも素晴らしかった。今年はそいつを超えないとな。な、ネリー？エッグノックの早飲み大会なんてのも面白いかもしれないな。 ネリー
What's wrong?
そうね。それがいいと思うわ。
Did you even hear the idea?
裸でシャンパンを浴びるのが
何を？
冗談だよ。エッグノックの話さ。ネリー好きだったろ？
Mix together sugar and egg yolks in a heated bowl. Then, when the mixture is nice and foamy, add milk and a dash of cinnamon for flavor. It's drunk in North America during Christmas and the New Year, and it's also a traditional drink at the Academy's end-of-year celebrations.
ホイップクリームをトッピングにしたのが好物だった。
そうね。
I've never had that, by the way. I have no idea what that's supposed to be like. Although she attempts to smile, it's obvious from her tense expression that she's forcing it. The clerk and I are both perplexed.
副会長？
Yeah, something's going on there.
ごめんなさい。お二人で話してもらえるかしら。
心ここにあらずという言葉を抜き出して擬人化したら。
Maybe it's because we treated her like a criminal.
そいつは違う。博愛主義者の我が副会長様が疑われたくらいであんな態度になるわけがない。
Did I just read the line? Yeah, I read the line of the clerk. I'm so sorry.
私たちが犯人扱いしたからでしょうか。
Yeah, she started saying it too late, and so I thought I had to read it. My bad. After all, she confessed to the crime herself.
なら
The council clerk's perspective is probably clouded by her own guilt, but
庶務のこと話していた時は何ともなかった。
Nettie doesn't have any axe to grind when the members of the Council of Nicaea. She only grew distant when I joined the conversation.
どうしたって言うんだ、ネリー。
Looking over to where my best friend is talking to Suakun, wearing her usual gentle smile, I feel something inside me start to shift. The rays of the setting sun. Ah, she keeps going. I feel so bad talking over it. The rays of the setting sun filled the chapel along with the lilting notes of the Tota Pulcraes, an hymn for the Virgin Mary. Listening to Neri's familiar voice, my heart is soothed by the unchanging melody, tone, and rhythm. The gift I inherited from my mother means that I can generally learn something after seeing or experiencing it just once. Having something inspire me with the same feeling of freshness even when I've already experienced it before, therefore lends it new value. Cooking, photography, singing.
この声が聞きたいから合唱部に入部したようなものだ。
Being able to pick things up so quickly means I grow bored of them equally fast. No matter how many times I hear her sing this song, though, I never tire of it. Although I do experience a sense of déjà vu, I could still listen to it forever.
では、私の歌をなぞるように歌唱してみてください。
The singing ceases and my mouth curves up in a smile as she utters an instruction in line with what I'd just been thinking. I inadvertently voice my disappointment at the end of her song. Neri gives me a little side-eye, then...
少し席を外します。
With that, she exits the chapel as though seeking to avoid my gaze. No, it's more than that. She's very clearly putting distance between us. What is going on?
あからさまだったものな。あの時も。
What? How is it obvious? I don't understand anything. The choral club will perform together as a choir at Christmas Mass. I tried to approach Nettie for some guidance, but
ここの音階だが
gay angst happening, I suppose.
ごめんなさい。他の方に聞いて。
At least she actually responded to me that time. I tried asking if I'd done something wrong. Nettie's in her gay angst face. Please don't interrupt.
ノエルを前にいつも以上に気合が入っているね。歌声に胸が震えるよ。
Although her eyes seemed desperate to convey something, she gracefully walked away from me without saying a word.
かかとを3回鳴らして助けてもらいたいよ。
So what did she do? She just sung it and it's like, okay, try to repeat it like this. I'm off. Like what?
何を助けてほしいのですか？
The sharp-eared Rikakun picks up on my whisper and now blinks at me innocently.
オズの魔法使いだよ。聞いたことがないかい？かかとを3度鳴らす。
読んだことがあります。でも銀の靴は確か故郷に帰るための方法ですよね。
It's a natural question, but to me, to us, those silver slippers instead equal protection. The pinky promise we made as kids.
今かかとを鳴らしても助けに来てくれる者はいない。
八代先輩、
ちゃんと聞いているよ。だが僕にも答えたくない質問もある。
そうですよね。
She glances back at the chapel entrance, through which Nettie has since left. She's sharp, although
ネリーとギクシャクしているのなんて周知の事実だな。
コミカド先輩と喧嘩でもしたんですか？
maybe it's because I came onto her so strong. Maybe it's to do with Ringo. Maybe this one? Yeah, it's this one. Maybe it's because I came onto her so strong. Chuckling at her forthright question, I find myself falling back into old habits.
ああ、大喧嘩になったよ。
そんな、どうして？
夜僕の部屋に呼び出してベッドに押し倒したのがまずかったみたいだ。ムード作りを怠った罰だ。ガツガツしすぎて嫌われたかな。
Playing the stereotypical dandy, I reach out and tease her braids with a finger. For a moment, she seems dazed, then...
嘘だ、嘘ですね。
君は本当にからかいがいがあるね。
Interesting way of concealing the truth with the joke. She bats at my chest and I smile, genuinely moved by her kindness.
結局のところ僕が悪いのだろうね。鈍感で心の機微に疎い。だから怒らせてしまう。
そんな、八代先輩は紳士ですよ。
I can't help but chuckle at the irony, known only to me, in her choice of that masculine word.
お世辞じゃないですよ。先輩は気遣いのできる紳士です。私やスオさんも何度も助けてもらいました。
そうかな。偽善者として優しく振る舞っているだけかもしれないよ。
I haven't kept my promise to Suokun. I'm even considering reneging on it entirely.
優しくないなんて。
Oh no.
そんなこと。
Smiling as she attempts to defend me, I cut her off.
悪魔は紳士風と相場は決まっている。
I tell her. I shouldn't be speaking of the devil in a church. Poor Rika-kun looks at a loss for words.
すまない。意地悪だったね。
I reach out to wind a finger through her luscious braids. Although she flushes, she doesn't flinch or pull back from me. Out of consideration for me, I suppose.
だが、確かに今更だな。
When Ringo and I had first gotten together, It was like the air between Neri and I had stagnated. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Hiccups. Though no one but us could sense it. Sure, there had been a sense of discomposure, but she hadn't let anything like it show in her language or behavior. Which is probably why the rest of the school had felt sorry for her and taken a more outwardly hostile stance toward me and Ringo on her behalf. Why is she avoiding me now? Good question. Gazing at the image of Christ with his eyes closed, I let out a long sigh. Oh no, is that food? Please don't do that to me. You can't make an omelette without cracking eggs. Thinking of a line from the movie All the King's Men, I give my frying pan a shake.
元ネタはフランスのことわざだったか。
To cook it more effectively, I added some mayonnaise to the mixture when I was beating the eggs. Mayonnaise, huh? Not something I ever would have thought of. Apparently it stops it from hardening as soon as it's on the heat and makes the egg nice and fluffy, but...
そもそも成功したらという話だ。
Let you burn it. Shaking the pan again, I use a pair of long chopsticks to stir the pre-omelette mixture of egg, cream, butter, mayo, and pepper. My eyes are fixed on the pale yellow liquid in the pan. But my mind's eye sees only her. When I think about why she's avoiding me, my chest aches unbearably. The scariest vision of the future is one where this leads to a slow decoupling from her. It's a tale as old as time. A pair of BFFs go off on their separate ways to university. They can't be bothered to call each other and gradually stop meeting in person. The relationship dying a slow but natural death. Oh gosh. Feeling down about the situation, I tried totting up her negative qualities in an attempt to reduce my feelings for her. Oh yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, that's definitely not gonna work. She's kind to everyone, which leads to indecisiveness. She takes too long doing her hair in the mornings. That kind of thing. But even when I focus on her shortcomings, not one of them truly spoils the whole. In fact, they simply serve to shine on an even brighter light on her strength. Shine an even brighter light on her strength. Strengths. Oh! You're burning the thing, probably. A shout in my ear directs my gaze from my inner thoughts back to my omelette. The yellow mixture has burned, darkening to a shade somewhere between brown and black. On the contrary, use it might make you love her even more. Yeah, I think that was implied. that was the implication there. Lifting the pan off the heat, I slide the blackened former omelette onto a plate. The burnt scent emanating from its charred remains seems to represent my inner anguish. She peers around me at the plate. I say. Looking into her friendly, smiling face, I tell her it was supposed to be an omelette. I guessed as much from the fact that they both showed up at cooking club today, but it looks like the sisters have patched things up. Ringo is leaning forward regarding the disaster before me. She declares, beckoning her sister over. Omelette! There's absolutely nothing that feels off about their interaction. They've definitely made up. Then... Previously, I'd felt everyone tense up whenever I spoke to Ringo out in the open, but now things are back to how they were before that. Ichigo Sasaki-kun is one smart cookie. Shock!
いや、なんというか、どうやって食べようかなと思ってね。
さすがにもう食べられ いえ、でもケチャップをたっぷり振れば。
No, don't
あ
do
るいは
that. Ichigo-kun flaps her hand in front of her face, seemingly disgusted by her sister's suggestion. It's a silly little back and
少
forth.
しホッとするな。
Using my special skill, I peer through Ichigo-kun's windows.
隠し事を。
Eh?
何ですか？
いや、なんでも。
そういえば料理部でクリスマスのお料理を用意するんですよね。先輩はどんな料理が作りたいですか？
Waving her arms around exaggeratedly, she hurriedly cuts me off. Perhaps she thought I was going to bring up the werewolf.
そうだね。手軽に作れる軽食がいいかな。
I go along with her obvious attempt to change the subject.
軽食？それじゃあそのサンドイッチとかですか？
料理下手な僕でもなんとかできそうだしね。
私としては生ハムとアボカドのオープンサンドが好きです。
僕はサンドイッチなら何でも好きだ。規制はない。ただしツナサンドは除く。
They're both grinning broadly at our banter. The cooking club room is filled with laughing voices as I continue working on my chosen dish. Except... Suo-kun is still waiting! Poor Suo! As I look across the room, there's just one person who's standing awkwardly apart.
ま、そりゃ怒るよな。
先輩？
せっかくだからオムレツの作り方を教えてもらおうかな。
いいですよ。でも
She must have caught my glance as her eyes also flick in Suo-kun's direction.
スーちゃんでなくていいんですか？そうだ、先輩にとって料理の師匠ですものね。
I stop Ichigo-kun before she can call out to her.
スーちゃんと何かあったのですか？
Ringo asks, ever perceptive. For a moment I'm unsure how to answer, then...
とある事情から約束を一つ保護にしてね。僕が悪いのさ。
I settle on sharing a fragment of the truth.
約束。私的に誤解を解くよう話してきましょうか？
You can't settle this, Ichigo. It's hardly a misunderstanding. It's very clear cut.
こればかりは僕が自分で話をつける。大丈夫だよ。
でも
理由は話せないが、スオ君にしたら僕が嘘をついたようなものだからね。
嘘。
Well, in a way, you did do that. Ringo repeats the word and it burrows its way into my ears. The twins exchange a guilty look, but I'm distracted by the bleakness in Suo-kun's eyes as she stares at
ど
me.
うしたらいい？
Inside my heart, I call out for my best friend. You can get away from yourself by moving from one place to another. An Ernest Hemingway quote runs through my mind. Wiping the fog from the glass, I gaze out the window. I'm scarcely seeing the scenery outside, though. It's like my feelings for Neri have congealed to form a film over my eyes.
どうしたらいい？
How should I face up to Neri Neko Mikado? My heart is torn with conflicting emotions merely from having her act differently toward me. Even though I'm dating Ringo, is the fact that my heart is in such turmoil itself a betrayal of her? However,
コミカドネリネと私は分かちがたくつながっている。
I can't imagine cutting her off and going our separate ways as separate people. At some point along the way, we blended together like twins sharing one soul. Having finished the dancing, my body is rapidly losing heat. Strangely distanced from myself, I objectively observe how my sweat is cooling me down and that I might catch a cold. Hearing the quiet pad of footsteps across the otherwise silent room, the film is abruptly wiped from my eyes. I recognize those footsteps.
すみません、バスキア教諭。
Realizing she's come to lock up and is about to speak to me, I beat her to the punch.
なぜ謝るのです？
余計な手間をかけさせてしまった。
Sister Basket shakes her head.
何か悩んでいることがあるのですね。
For a moment, I'm wary, thinking she did what I do and peered into the room behind my eyes. Then I smirked to myself, realizing how angsty I must have looked, staring out the window.
悩んでいることなんてありませんよ。
罪の意識で信仰を妨げてはなりません。
Her smile fades at the immediacy of my response. I peek into her own windows. As usual, the curtains are shut tight.
私に黙っていると約束したのに、口にしたことを心苦しく思っているのですね。
For a second, I have no idea what she's talking about. A moment later, I realize she's referring to the thing with our mother Katabani.
約束を破ってすみません。親友の疑いを晴らすためにはどうしようもなかったのです。
構いません。彼女も黙ってもらっていたことに心苦しさを感じていたでしょう。優しさからとはいえ、規則を自ら破ってしまったのですから。
Her smile could melt even the iciest of hearts. A smile like that would have moved me when I was
だ
younger.
が部屋に招待してくれない者は信用できない。
I smile wryly at the curtains pulled across her eyes.
ありがとうございます。心の使いは取れました。では。
他にも懺悔したいことが終わりなのでしょう。
I'm momentarily flustered. It's impossible to get a read on her emotions. She's similar to me, and I don't like that. But
僕と似ている。
やっちろさん、
バスキア教諭は誰かを真剣に愛したことはありますか？
wow, that's a bold question. I've thrown her. I see the curtains twitch. But I still can't see into the room.
この人のためなら身を投げ打ってもいいと思える人です。
私には神がおられます。
Deep within her eyes, I feel like I catch a glimpse of something holy, yet terrifying. Something I shouldn't have seen. Fear your wishes, Yuzuri, huh? What is this?
やっちろさんは。
いいのです。これは自分で答えを出さなくてはならない問題でした。おかしな質問をしてすみません。
As I bow my head to her and take my leave, I see her cross herself. I can almost see an image of my best friend superimposed on her, chilling my frozen body even further. Oh my gosh.
愚かだな。
Muttering to myself, I scroll through the photos on my camera. Trying to talk about homosexuality with a devoutly Christian nun had definitely been the wrong call. In my distraction, I ended up imagining some pretty impolite things. I utter a silent apology as I gaze at my collection of scenic photos. Then,
ネリー。
as though traveling back in time to the day it was taken, I arrive at a photo of me and Neri. A photo from when we won the Council of Nicaea elections, kindly taken by the clerk. I wanna see that! Even though it was only a year earlier, I feel like it feels, right? Like a scarily long time ago. In the photo, I'm frowning at something behind the camera woman, while Neri appears to be smiling joyously at the same thing. What was it? I have a photographic memory, yet I can't remember this.
そうだ。
I hadn't reacted openly to it, but her instruction for us to stand closer together had really agitated me. Touching Neri's shoulder, her body in front of everyone, had really thrown me for a loop. Even though I always enjoyed the way our bodies would touch when the two of us sat chatting together. There in the library, beneath the slanting rays of the dying sun, staring at this image of my best friend, I feel completely alone. Like the Tin Woodman without his heart, I feel a chasm yawning open in my chest.
写真お好きなのですね。
Chidori? Feeling like I'm still in a dream, I turn sluggishly in the direction of the voice.
高崎くん。
お邪魔してしまいましたか？
いや、 なんとなしに眺めていただけだよ。八重垣くんに図書を借りてやるのかい？
今日は私が読みたい本を選ぼうと思って。
アミティエとの趣味を合わせるために。
There's no affectation to her smile as she nods. While she never really beams, her smile still somehow reminds me of Nettie's.
八重垣くんは幸せ者だな。
八代先輩は本を選ばないのですか？図書室でカメラをいじっているって。
She looks over at the librarian's desk.
白羽さんの当番じゃないですしね。
The sound of Su Shirahane's name startles me. Yet another girl I'm having issues with.
カメラで学院を撮っていて、ここへは少し休憩に寄っただけだよ。
そうなんですか。
She stares intently at the camera in my hands, but shakes her head when I hold it out to her.
八代先輩がカメラを好きだってなんだからしい感じですよね。
らしい？
なんというか、八代先輩って芸術家気質に思えるし、女流写真家みたいで。
Seeing traces of Nettie in her smiling face, I gently stroke my camera.
実は初めは写真を撮ることが好きではなかったんだ。
Internally, I reflect on how heavy the equipment is and how it's generally seen as a masculine hobby. Hey? I had no idea. Really? Really? I had no idea. Meh, I don't care.
それではなぜカメラを手に取ったんですか？
Maybe it's something more specifically Japanese. I never felt it was a gendered occupation.
母の存在だよ。
お母さんのですか？お母さんが写真を撮るのが好きで自分もとか？
Shaking my head, I tell her that it was quite the opposite.
母は写真が嫌いだった。撮るのも撮られるのも。ポートレートも家族写真すら一
Yeah,
枚も
that's
残してない。
sad. That's sad.
それじゃあ娘だったら撮られることに抵抗が少ないだろうから八代先輩がお母さんを撮ることにしたとか？
いや、母は幼い頃に亡くなった。写真を撮るようになったのはその後だ。
Yeah, I also like. It might also be just Yuzuriha's perception, or it might be something culturally Japanese that they see it that way. But I do think it is because we're seeing things mostly through Yuzu's perspective. It hammers onto them more than it's even warranted, just because she perceives herself as so masculine, and that being so bad, which it is not. I don't know. People should just be themselves in whatever proportion, like femininity and masculinity they have in them, whatever, right? We all have those two, let's say, or like it's one axis with two directions, right? And we all are placed in a certain spot, which is the one that defines us the best. And it's not necessarily a bad or a good thing, it's just how we are, right? But Yuzu just keeps using it as a self-deprecating thing. And I wish she would just snap out of it. Because this is really nothing bad. Like, she's awesome the way she is. Yeah. There's definitely a reason, I guess so, but yeah. We'll see.
母の思い出は僕の頭の中だけだ。でもそんなのってないだろ。普通後に残される娘に1枚くらい。
八代先輩、
僕が写真を撮るのはね、僕自身がここに確かにいたってことを。
Our memories paint things in either a better or worse light than reality. That still applies to me, even with my photographic memory.
湿っぽい話をしてしまったね。
I'd never spoken about this to anyone before. The Twilight Room, the ghost of Nettie and the girl before me. They've made me unusually loose-lipped.
いえ、八代先輩のことが知れて嬉しかったです。
高崎くん。
Despite the heavy confession I just laid on her, she's still smiling at me in that way that reminds me of Neri.
八代先輩も告白してくれたから話しますけど、私この学院が嫌いだったんです。
閉鎖的だから？
そうでなく、両親と離れてしまうのが嫌だったんです。
Realizing that she's chosen to share something private and personal with me, I sit up straight and look her in the eye.
両親は仕事人間で、当たり前の家族ということができない人たちだったんです。
Reminds me of my own father.
ないがしろにされていた？
以前はそう思っていました。だから両親の目を引きたくて芸能の世界に入り、バレエで有名になろうとしたんです。
なのにこの学院へ転入させられた。
ええ、初めは失敗をしてしまった私を落胆し、どうでもよくなったのかって。だから早く病気を治して学院を出る。それ
Recover. That word sticks out to me, but it would be insensitive to interrupt. I decide not to ask.
でもこの学院で朗読劇やバレエ発表会、たくさんの出来事を経て考え方が変わったんです。両親はきっと病を治した上で私に普通の学院生活を送ってもらいたかったんだって。
The gentle rays of the sun soften her smile, and I find myself nodding along unconsciously. My Amitia partner taught me how to see things that way, she tells me.
八重垣くんは君の守護天使なんだ。
She sure is.
はい。
From her bright response and the way she's behaving, I realize that Takasaki-kun is trying to get closer to me. Just like her Amitia partner once did for her. Her sharing the secrets of her past with me is proof of that.
ねえ高崎くん、どうしても手に入れたいものが2つあったらどうする？
At the very least, we always see everything through the lens of the narrator's subjective perspective. Things are never stated as is in any distanced subjective manner. Yeah, that's what I also saying, that this is probably the novel, like, drilling down on this is Yuzuriha's perspective of things. And how she notices these nuances in things. Oh, this is feminine, this is masculine, and then looks at the ones that she deems masculine and then believes those are flaws in herself, which they are not. Yeah. Okay.
それなら両方。
片方しか手に入らないとしてだ。
She places her index finger to her perfectly formed lips, giving my question serious consideration. Her gaze grows sharper than usual, like she's regarding something with disdain.
それはどちらにも優劣はつけられないんですよね。価値は同じという前提ですよね。
優劣。
They're both so important to me, I've never even thought to compare them. But I suppose that implication was buried in my question.
私はどちらかを必ず選ばないといけないとなったら迷いません。自分の心に従います。
Good answer, Chidori.
それで選ばれなかった方が損なわれたとしても、
私の好きなあの子の言葉を借りるなら、
Yeah.
誰にでもいい顔なんてできない。一歩を踏み出すのは誰でも怖い。でも踏み出さなかったらずっと同じ場所でとどまってしまう。
Good, really good stuff coming from Chidori here.
それは選ぶ側も選ばれる側も損なわれる行為ではないでしょうか。
Takasaki-kun's answer reminds me of a line from my favorite movie. She has every right to mess up her life. Those words from Amélie.
悩むよりも行動せよか。思っているまま抱えていると、いずれ心が腐り落ちてしまう。
After thanking her, I ask if it's okay to take a photo. She nods obligingly.
綺麗に撮るよ。
汚いものを美しく撮ることはできますけど、美しいものを汚くは撮れませんよ。
It's such a Yaegaki-kun thing to say. I can't help but smirk. Focusing in on her beautiful figure, I set aglow by the setting sun. I click the shutter. A memory is added to the gaping hole inside me, helping to fill it up ever so slightly. That single photo warms me and lends me the resolve to face up to those girls. Okay. I've called Ringo Sasaki out to the St. Joseph boat to celebrate her sprain being fully healed and to tell her how I feel. Okay. These aren't much as flaws as her wanting to be feminine while feeling like she's being pigeonholed into the role of prince by people at the academy. So everything that feels even remotely masculine to her is amplified by tenfold. Yeah, I understand that. But it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy because people are pigeonholing her because she's creating this image about herself. She is feeding the image of herself that other people have. And she needs to realize that she's doing that and understand that if this doesn't make her happy, she should just be who she is. And people will accept her. Yeah. Okay. I think this will probably be very close to the end, but this is more or less my limit for tonight. I'm not feeling that great. I have a bit of a headache, and yeah, I feel like I don't want to push it too far, so maybe it's best to have like the final conversations and stuff just to give them enough time, however much that will be next time, and then we can jump into the alternative routes if that's okay. It is, but at this point she feels like it's a self-sustaining feedback loop, so she can't break away from. Yeah, I understand that she's feeling that way. I just hope she realizes, like, you know, awareness precedes control. I hope she becomes aware over time, or like, I mean, she's already should have made some progress in that direction, I think. That she doesn't need to do that. And then slowly but surely start unchaining herself from this role that she's kind of like imposed on herself. Yeah. Okay. Let's make a save here, and yeah, we will figure out what's happening next time, because I'm expecting there will be multiple scenes, right? It's not just Ringo. There'll probably be some conversation with Suo, there'll be something with Neri, so let's just give it the time that it deserves next time. And we're actually at the midpoint of this chapter, so go something. Okay, then that's perfect. Thank you so much for confirming. It sounds good. I would have felt bad to leave it for like, I don't know, 10 minutes left of the story or something, and then next time we would just like do a little bit and then there's credits time. But if there's still some serious content to dig through, then it's perfect. Fits right in. And yeah, obviously we have the alternate routes to go through, so we will start doing that next time after we're gone through everything. Yeah, okay. This has been very interesting. I overestimated the length when I said that it would be possible to finish it today. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, you can never know exactly how it goes. Maybe I'm faster in reading sometimes, maybe I'm a bit slower sometimes, or if I stop to comment on something, obviously that will take away some of the time. Yeah, there's no rush. I'd rather savor things and enjoy them, and, you know, stop for a bit when I do feel like saying something about things, because that contributes to the experience by itself. So we're not racing anywhere as far as I'm aware. So it's absolutely no issue, no worries. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me tonight as well. It's always a pleasure to share this with you. What's on my t-shirt? My t-shirt is a Comic-Con t-shirt from like a while ago. So it's the logo of that particular edition. I forget which year this was from, but I think it's from an edition that I didn't manage to attend, and a friend of mine bought me the t-shirt. Yeah, I think so. I have a bunch of these, so at some in the beginning they would like also write the year, the edition on the t-shirt. At some point they stopped, And when they stopped, I don't remember which year this is from. It's just my collection of stuff. They're super comfy. I wear them around the house all the time. Yeah, I like it too, right? That's why my friend even got it, because he knew I liked blue and that I would enjoy the color. Yeah, it's really nice. Thank you, Vera. And yeah, thanks once again for joining me for this tonight. Wish you a good end to your day and a nice, lovely not evening, weekend. A nice, lovely weekend. And I'll see you again Tuesday when we will actually finish this room. Yeah. For now, good night. Take care. Love you all. Bye bye.